Hi everyone, we are excited to have you here in today's fun-filled learning session at Uolo. Here is a quick look at how you can submit your work after the class. As a first step, go to live.uolo.com. You can use any browser to access this site. On this page, you will see a list of all our classes. Scroll down and you can see the Submit Your Work button. And then you will see a list of the classes that you've last attended, which could, for example, show the dance or craft or science experiment classes you've attended recently. Next, it will show you the list of children whose names are registered in this mobile number. Choose your name from this list to submit your work. For instance, if you are Satvik Kumar, choose that name. And then choose the class for which you would like to make your submission. For example, if you've attended the New Year's Masquerade Party session and you'd like to make the submission for this class, click on the Submit Your Work button below that. And then upload the photo you've taken. Choose the image from your phone and click Submit. You can scroll down and view all your past submissions and see how many of your friends or peers have liked your work. You can also see others' work and like their work to inspire your friends. If you want to showcase your work on social media, that too is very simple. Click on Share, copy the link and post it on Instagram or Facebook or any other platform of your choice. Just a tiny reminder, your submission looks a lot better if you could click a photo in the landscape mode rather than the portrait mode. Do not forget to tag us at YOLO_app. I'm eagerly looking forward to all your submissions right after this class.
Hey there, kids. How are you doing? Welcome to today's class. Today is our general knowledge session that we're going to be going ahead and having. And I am super excited to have you here with me today. Now, before we actually start discussing everything about what we're going to go ahead and do in today's class, I want to go ahead and give you a couple of pointers, before we actually start discussing everything. The first thing that I want to go ahead and talk to you about is obviously the certificate program. Like you all know, you're already getting certificates for the work that you're already doing. But just one couple of things to keep in mind. Firstly, don't go ahead and miss any of the classes. If you want a certificate, we want you to obviously go ahead and get the certificate. But for that, we do need that, proof or that satisfaction that you have gone ahead and attended all of your classes. So go ahead and attend any class, of any particular course, all of them, never miss out on any class. Now, the second thing that you have to go ahead and keep in mind is to never miss a submission. Now, the reason I'm going ahead and telling you that again is basically because it gives us sort of like an identification or sort of like proof that you are going ahead and, doing the work or learning the skill that we want you to go ahead and learn. So those are the two pointers to keep in mind. You want to go ahead and get that certificate, so keep that in mind. Now, the second thing that I want to talk to you about is obviously about the submissions that you've been going ahead and doing. Like you all know, you're getting selected as part of the top 10 if you are getting selected. But apart from that, something that is very, very important and something that, I always want to tell all of my students is, irrespective of what work you've gone ahead and done as part of that day's class, go ahead and make your submission, irrespective of whether it's neat, whether it is dirty, whether you've gone ahead and done a good job, whether you've gone ahead and done a bad job, whatever it is, always remember to go ahead and do your submission. Now, why am I urging you that? The reason I'm urging you to go ahead and do that is basically, I, as a teacher, want to go ahead and see the progress that you are making. And I also want to kind of inculcate the concept of you actually, doing your work and doing a submission. So having sort of like a responsibility after every class is something that, I want to go ahead and inculcate as part of your lives and inculcate as part of these classes that we are having. So make sure you're going ahead and doing your submissions. Now let's go ahead and get started with today's class, and let's talk about what we're going to go ahead and do today. Now, today's class, like you all know, is our seventh general knowledge class, and I am so happy to have you here with regard to that, because today is going to be a little different from what we have been going ahead and doing. Today, we're going to be going ahead and talking all about traffic elements, or things that are basically on the road. Now, when it comes to things on the road, you do have traffic, you do have people, you do have like you have different kinds of lanes, you have different kind of pathways, you have different kinds of things, right? It's like such a big part of our lives, having a road and having transportation and having commuting from one place to another. So this class is basically going to be like sort of like a discussion to go ahead and talk about everything that we see on the road. So me giving you information about things like the zebra crossing, things about traffic lights, going ahead and talking to you about signs on the road, going ahead and talking to you about things like turning, speed limits, everything is what I'm going to be going ahead and obviously addressing. But apart from that, I also want to go ahead and make this class sort of in a manner that it creates some form of road safety, or it creates some form of awareness in terms of when you are on the road, what you should be doing or what you should be aware of, what should you keep in mind as someone of your age, what is it to keep in mind. Now this could be either if you're a pedestrian, that is if you are walking, or if you are in a car with someone, that is your parent, your cousin, your brother, your sister, whoever you may be with, maybe with someone like that. Or lastly, maybe if you're cycling somewhere and you're on a bicycle and you're on the road, what do you go ahead and do? So these kind of tips are something that I really want to go ahead and incorporate as well as part of this class, because I feel general knowledge is not it's just not about having information, it's about how you go ahead and utilize that information as well. So make sure to pay attention to these small points and tricks and tips that I'm going to be going ahead and giving you. Now let's get started with the concept of what we are doing, which is obviously we always go ahead and do a drawing or an illustration on the side when we are ever talking about our whenever we're doing our GK classes. So today we're also going to do something similar. We're going to go ahead and draw. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and start a little bit patch of what we want to go ahead and do, and then I can go ahead and start explaining whatever I want to go ahead and explain. So let's go ahead and start off with a list of materials that we need for today. The first thing that you will need for today's class is obviously going to be a sheet of paper. So here I have my drawing book, journal book, whatever book you want to go ahead and call it, sketchbook, anything that you have, you can go ahead and take. You can also go ahead and take an A4 size of sheet of paper if you do not have any of these kind of books. You can go ahead and take a loose drawing sheet of paper, or any unruled sheet of paper would work. The next thing that you need for today's class is going to be a bunch of sketch pens. Now here I have a 12 color set of sketch pen by Adjet. You can go ahead and take any set of sketch pens that you have. If you have Faber-Castell, if you have Camlin, whatever you have, just make sure you have a good set of sketch pens with you. That's going to be a must. Now apart from the sketch pens and your book itself, it is an optional thing for you to go ahead and have crayons today. I'm going to be going ahead and just adding in a little bit of color right at the end by using crayons. But again, that is up to you. If you feel like your sheet is a little empty and you want to go ahead and use it, then you can go ahead and use it. But it's not a hard and fast rule that I'm going ahead and implying that you do need colors or crayons for today's class. All right, so since everybody's set and ready to go, let's get started with the first drawing bit of our class. The first thing that I want you to go ahead and do is take your black color sketch pen and draw sort of like a border. Now here you can go ahead and use a scale if you want to, but I'm just going ahead and doing it freehand because it's just a quick simple illustration that I want to go ahead and do today. So just using a simple black sketch pen to go ahead and all around my border on this side. Make sure to go ahead and do that neatly. So I'm just going to wait here, making sure everybody's gone ahead and done that. Excellent. Now, one thing that we're going to go ahead and do in today's class is we're going to keep it a little unique. I'm not going to expect everybody's piece or drawing to look exactly like my drawing. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and talk about everything on the road by actually illustrating it down on the road bit by bit. So the first thing that we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and draw a road. Now my road is just going to be like a random pattern that I'm going to go ahead and draw, and that's exactly what I want you to go ahead and do as well. I want you to go ahead and do a double line pattern all around your page, so you can see how I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm just going to take my black color sketch pen and I'm just going to go ahead and do whatever pattern I felt like, whatever came to my mind. You can see I just ran my pen over and just drew some design, and then I made that whole thing a double line. So this is going to be my basic road that I'm going to be starting with. Perfect. So you can see super easy. Now, in the same manner, I would like for you to go ahead and draw your road in whatever way you like. Now, let's go ahead and start talking about a couple of things while you draw. Now, the first thing that I want to talk to you about when it comes to, all of the traffic elements is firstly, what are all the elements that you see when you are on a road? So you do obviously have the road itself, which is going to be either tarred or is going to be cemented, whatever it is. That is the first thing that you'll obviously have all around when it comes to the road. The second thing that you will end up always having is a bunch of cars, scooters, or any form of transport. Now, depending on where you are, the transport may vary. That is, if you are in India, you do have a lot of scooters, you have a lot of autos, you have a lot of taxis, you have a lot of private cars, you have a lot of cyclists. You also have a lot of these smaller vehicles that that are again two wheelers, but they are of smaller cc's. But you do have many kinds of it. Versus if you are somewhere else, that is, for example, let's say you are in the United States, they do not have as many two wheelers as we have as part of India. So it can vary depending on where you are. Now, the second element that you always see as part of the road is going to be things like the footpath. Now, the footpath is basically a place where you can go ahead and walk. It's basically for pedestrians to be on. So, coming to what are pedestrians? Pedestrians are basically people who are on foot on the road. So, that is, if you are going ahead and walking alongside the road, if you're going ahead and being around, then you become a pedestrian. Now, you are considered a pedestrian obviously when you are on the road itself. That is, imagine, let's say you're crossing the road, and second is if you are on the footpath. Both ways you still become a pedestrian, so just remember that. Now, the third thing that you obviously go ahead and see on the road is going to be a zebra crossing. Now, what is a zebra crossing? We will get to that later. We're actually going to be going ahead and drawing a zebra crossing, so we'll talk about it then the next thing that we're going to go ahead and see whenever we are on the road is going to be signals. You're going to have traffic lights, signals, things like that. Those are sort of indicators, and again, we'll be talking about that when we draw that out. The next thing that you do see as part of roads, which we won't be doing ahead and drawing, is a lot of the times the traffic police or the traffic instructors or guiders. Now, they can be obviously the policemen who are there. They are the traffic policemen who are trying to guide and conduct the traffic in a particular route, and they also tend to have sort of booths when they are all around, and they are there to kind of conduct how the movement of traffic will basically go on. Now, apart from that, traffic or roads in general can be divided into many formats. That is, you can go ahead and have highways, you can go ahead and have town roads, you can go ahead and have district roads, you can go ahead and have city roads, you can go ahead and have village roads. Every road is going to be different. Now, what is the difference between these roads? The difference between these roads can be several. One is how they are made. For example, I live in Bangalore, and in Bangalore, we have two kinds of main roads. We have tar roads and we have cement roads. And cement roads are roads which basically are longer, much used. So because they're utilized a lot more, having it in cement gives them a more longevity. So the type of material used to make the road is the difference between the two roads. But you also have things like where the road is situated. Let's say a road is situated in a village versus it's situated in a city. That makes the difference between a city road and a village road. And you also have a city road versus a highway road. Now, a highway road is basically going to be a road that is connecting cities, it's connecting towns, it's connecting districts, it's connecting states. So those are all highway roads. National highways, state highways, things like that, those become highway roads. And then you have city roads. Now, the difference again between those two is obviously what the function of the road is, but also in terms of how the speed of the roads is. That is how fast the cars can basically move on the roads. So those are a couple of elements or descriptions of what you see around you when it comes to roads. And another last thing that is very important, which we'll be actually discussing very in depth, is all about signs. Now, when you go on to any road or any traffic area, you will always see a bunch of signs put up all over. Now, every sign has a meaning. You don't necessarily have to know each meaning or each sign's indication or what it kind of tells you or doesn't tell you at this age, because you don't really need to go ahead and know all of that right now. But a couple of things you will need to know as someone who is a pedestrian or someone who's going ahead and cycling or just someone who's on the road in general. So all of those important points I will definitely go ahead and tell you. Now let's go ahead and start with the first element that I want to go ahead and draw, which is going to be the traffic light. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up my black color sketch pen and mark that part over there as my traffic light. Now you can go ahead and draw your traffic light wherever you like. It's completely up to you to go ahead and draw it. So, go ahead and draw it wherever. So here I'm just going ahead and drawing a rectangle. I'm going to go ahead and draw three circles, and then I'm going to go ahead and draw the side bit of my traffic lights, which is just going to be a slanting line and a straight line. So perfect. As you can see, I've gone ahead and done that. And then what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and draw three arrows with three circles, which are going to be the indicators of the colors. So here I'm going ahead and first starting off with the red. Then I'm going to go ahead and take my red and actually fill it up as part of that signal itself. Then I'm going ahead and taking my black, again doing an arrow and doing my yellow. Then I'm going to go ahead and take my yellow and do it in the signal. Then I'm again taking my black, doing a line, and then I'm going to go ahead and do green over there. Perfect. So simple, isn't it? Great. Now, while you go ahead and draw this, let's talk about the traffic signal. Now, like you all know, the traffic signal is, consists of three parts, but a lot of other traffic signals can have more than three parts. So let's go ahead and talk about the basic traffic signal, which is basically of red, yellow, and green. Now, the red part of it, like you all know, is going to be stop. So whenever you see a red signal anywhere else, you definitely want to go ahead and stop your vehicle. Now, why I am going ahead and talking to you about basically this is if you are also cycling on the road, make sure you're going ahead and following the traffic signals, or if you're walking, make sure to see the traffic signals of the vehicles and go ahead and see the traffic signals for you as a pedestrian. There are always going to be separate signals for a pedestrian, and it looks very, very similar to the traffic signal of the cars or the transportation that is there on the road. Just that a lot of the times maybe there is a small man indication kept over there also, kind of guiding you what to do, what not to do. So red is always going to be stop, yellow is going to be to slow down, and this will normally be there for transportation and not for pedestrians. And finally green is you can go, that is you can go ahead and do the movement of the vehicle, or you as an individual can go ahead and walk. Now traffic signals are made in such a manner that there is sort of like a timer. Let's say if there are four roads, like in a crossing that are there, when one is stopped, another one will basically be moving. So as a pedestrian, like I said, I want to make this educational for you on how to use it. For a pedestrian who you are, make sure you're always checking what signal you are at, whether the pedestrian signal is saying stop, whether the pedestrian signal is saying no, because a lot of the time maybe there's no traffic moving around, but there is going to be some form of indication that's suddenly going to come up, and you will have to go ahead and follow that. A new trend that is basically there in India, if you have noticed, is the concept of a buzzer going off when people or individuals or pedestrians need to go ahead and walk. It's sort of like a siren that goes off between signals, that is kind of giving you the indicator that you can go ahead and cross the road. So you can also keep an eye for that if you are on being a pedestrian or you're basically cycling around. Now, once you've gone ahead and done this, we can go ahead and move on to the next part, which is going to be the zebra crossing. Now, with the zebra crossing, I wanted to just go ahead and also draw these white lines of the road. So here you can see I've taken my black sketch pen and I'm drawing all of my white lines. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw my zebra crossings. I'm going to be drawing three zebra crossings as part of this road. Now, depending on however your road is, you can go ahead and do three, or you can do two, or you can do one, whatever it is. Just make sure to go ahead and do sort of like these white lines with the zebra crossing. Now, while I am going ahead and drawing this, let me talk to you about what the zebra crossing is. Zebra crossing, like you all know, is basically on many roads. It can be big roads, it can be small roads, it can be as part of highways, it can be part of district roads. everywhere you will see a lot of zebra crossings. Now, zebra crossings basically is a place wherein you go ahead and cross the road. Now, every zebra crossing will tend to always have a whole set of white lines, and the rest of the lines which are there at the bottom will look black. So it'll basically look black and white. Now, zebra crossings most of the times will tend to have a pedestrian signal around it somewhere, sort of giving the indication that you can walk now or you may not walk now. So one of the two may be there. If there is no sort of indication like that near a zebra crossing giving you direction on whether you should cross the road or not cross the road, then you will also have that concept of the buzzer noise. Like I was saying, you might have a buzzer kind of telling you that now is the time that you can cross the road. So that is something otherwise you can go ahead and keep in mind. If either of these two is basically not there, there's one thing that you will find very, very commonly when it comes to close to school. So if you are close to a school, if you're close to a hospital, if you're close to a university, or you're close to an office building, you might have someone standing over there and guiding you whether it's time for you to cross the road or not. Now, if it's a school, then you will go ahead and probably have your security person going ahead and doing this. If it's a hospital, again, you'll have some kind of staff. If it's a university, again, some kind of staff as part of that, university or college or school or whatever, whoever the security personnel is from, who's going to be standing there and telling you, okay, now you may walk, now you may not walk. So if you're ever confused on what to go ahead and do at a zebra crossing and there's a lot of traffic here and there and you do not know what to do, look out for one of these three. Look out A for sort of like a signal for you. B, go ahead and listen to, finding a noise basically telling you that, okay, this buzzer is there so I can cross. Or lastly, you can go ahead and cross depending on what the person over there is telling you to do. Perfect, guys. Now, moving on to the next part of it, I'm going ahead and drawing a sign over here. Now, I'm going ahead and drawing this sign because it's very, very important. What I've gone ahead and done is I'm going ahead and drawing a box, and then I've gone ahead and written a P on top of that. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my red color sketch pen and color that in. So make sure you're going ahead and doing this. You don't have to wait for me. When I'm talking, I'm waiting, it's giving me you time to go ahead and draw and color the thing in that I'm doing. All right, so sign number one that is very, very important apart from the signals that you've been seeing is the parking board. Now, this is the parking board that you will go ahead and find in most of the roads, whether it is the main roads or the side roads, you will go ahead and have these parking signs. Now, why does the parking sign become important to you? The parking sign becomes very, very important because let's say that there is a road and let's say there is a parking sign put over there or there is a no parking sign put over there. Now, if you are someone who is a pedestrian, standing somewhere where there is a parking sign may be a little risky for you. So, what I mean by that is, let's say there is a car who's coming through and he sees the parking sign and he wants to go ahead and park the car. But you, as an individual or pedestrian, is going ahead and standing there thinking that part of the road is not being utilized, nobody is there, so I'm going to stand here. So, make sure to always look around you as to where if there is a parking sign or not a parking sign. If there is no parking sign, then yes, you can go ahead and stand there. But if there is a parking sign, always leave that space empty in order to, let the person, whoever needs to go ahead and park their car. Now, another reason to always keep sure of a parking sign is if you're on the road with someone, that is, if you are with a cousin, your father, your mother, and you're in a car or you're in a two-wheeler, there's always going to be an indication of the parking board of a two-wheeler, of a car, whatever, and you can always identify and give them help in terms of parking. So that could be another thing that is important. In India, we do have places specifically made for parking cycles as well. So if you're someone who's going ahead and cycling around, then look out for a cycle parking and always park over there. Now let's move on to the next sign. Now here, this sign you will go ahead and see a lot in many places. In India, you see it little rarely. In the US and the UK and all of these other places, you see it a lot more. But it is something that is prevalent all over. So here you can see I've gone ahead and done an S right at the middle, and I'm going ahead and coloring this whole thing again in with red. Now this basically is the stop signal. Now the stop signal, basically you have of two kinds. One is if you have just an S written like this, or if you just have like a complete red board with sort of like a circle and a white cross going around, or you might just have the stop sign written itself, that you have the whole word stop written over there. Now, this is another very, very important sign. And why does it become important? The stop sign is very, very important again because a lot of cars may just go ahead and stop whenever they see a stop sign. So, stop sign is sort of like an indication. Let's say if there is a crossing, every person who sees a stop sign has to go ahead, stop, wait, look, and then move forward. So if you're someone who's going to be going ahead and being on the road, always make sure of these stop signs. Always make sure to understand. Let's say you have a zebra crossing in front of you and there is a stop sign, the car will come and wait, and then you can cross, and then the person will go. So always make sure to look around you in terms of where the stop signs always are. Now moving on to the next thing, here I'm going ahead and drawing a pole, and then I'm going to go ahead and draw a few arrows coming out of this pole. So here you can see I'm just going ahead and drawing a few arrows coming out of these poles. Perfect. Now I'm going to go ahead and just draw like a few, like, sort of like lines on it, making it look like there's something written over there, and then I'm going to go ahead and color it in. Now, what is this? This is basically the sign that gives you the direction of where you are or what is there if you move on to that road. For example, if let's say you are on MG Road and you want to basically go ahead to Brigade Road. So this is sort of a Bangalore reference if you're living in Bangalore. So then what will happen is you will go ahead and have an indication that using that sign, okay, that way, if you go right, then Brigade Road will come. If you go left, you will have MG Road. So go ahead and always look out for that signboard. It becomes very important as a pedestrian, as well as someone generally out and about on the road, whether you're on a cycle or you're walking or you're in a car. There's always going to be placards put all over, identifying what layout you're in, identifying where you are, identifying. So this could also be helpful if somewhere you get lost and you don't know where to go. So always look out for the signs around, identifying, okay, this is where I am in my city or my district or my town. So always look out for that. Next thing that I'm going ahead and doing is I'm taking a blue color sketch pen and I'm drawing out all of my arrows. Now this is my upward arrow, and I'm going to go ahead and then do a sideways arrow. Now here you can go ahead and do whatever color you like for your arrows, to be honest, and you can go ahead and do it in whichever direction, and you can go ahead and do it randomly all over your sheet. Now the reason I'm going ahead and drawing these arrows is sort of because it is an indication of what and how your traffic is basically going to be moving all around on your road. Even if you're a cyclist or someone who's just walking on the road, always make note of all of these arrows that are there. So for example, let's take the first arrow that I drew, which is basically going straight ahead, is basically going to be an arrow indicating that you can go straight. So if you are someone who needs to go ahead and walk or cycle, you can go ahead and go straight. Now let's say if there is a left turn or a right turn, then you can go ahead and identify that there is a left turn or a right turn. A lot of the times you might have the left turn, right turn, and a cross put on it, which is sort of indicating that the car cannot go left or right. It is a one way, or it is not allowed to go in that road. So it can probably go straight and the opposite direction, but not the direction that it is pointing at. So then what does that mean? That it becomes safer for you to walk across if you need to. Maybe cars are not allowed over there. Maybe there is going to be some form of indication. So always look for that. Now let's say the last sign that you have gone ahead and drawn, the U-turn sign. Now let's say you are at the road and you are in the middle when there is cars going straight and cars going back like this, going and coming in either direction. Always make sure wherever there is a mention of U-turn done, if there is a mention of U-turn done, then there can be cars also moving from one side of the lane to the other side of the lane. So never stand over there. Be careful to not wait over there. If you're on your cycle or you're walking, whatever it is, don't stand in the middle of the road. It is very important for you to look out for this sign. Now, next, what I'm going ahead and doing is I'm going ahead and sort of drawing a bunch of these signs. Now, I'm just going ahead and drawing random shapes on top over there. You can go ahead and do this with any color you like. I'm just going to go ahead and do triangle, circle, square, rectangle, again a triangle, and again a circle with my black color sketch pen. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish it up with a number of sketch pens, with a number of colors here and there. Now, what do I indicate by this? Now, this indicates to me all of the signs that I see in the road. Now, like I said, there are a couple of signs that are important, like of the turnings, parking. We also have the stop sign, which is very, very important. But apart from that, there are going to be many, many signs on the road at all times. One sign or a couple of signs that I really want you to notice is one is the railway sign. You will always see a lot of signs which basically indicate that there may be a railway crossing or there may be a railways over there. So what does that indicate? That is a train or a train track might be there and a train can cross. So if you are someone who lives near a railway station or near train tracks, then make sure you always watch out for that. The next thing that you can keep in mind is, again, there'll be signs for zebra crossings. There will also be signs for no honking. There'll be signs for no crossing. There'll be signs for no U-turns, no turns, whatever it is. So if you're a cyclist or if you're going ahead and walking, make sure to always look at that. You also will have signs, indicating dead ends. So let's say you're going on a new road and you do not know if where that road is going. You might see a dead end sign over there. So make sure you go ahead and see that, so that you know, okay, that there is no road further and you will have to go right or left, or maybe the road doesn't actually go anywhere and you're kind of lost and you might need to go back to another part of the road. So always make sure to keep a look at the signs. All the signs are not necessarily important for you at this age, but a few here and there are very important. Now, lastly, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I've gone ahead and taken my green color sketch pen and I'm going ahead and drawing a bunch of numbers. So you can see I've gone ahead and done 20, 30, and then I'm going to go ahead and do a random 40. Now, the reason I've gone ahead and done this is basically to give you sort of like an identification to always look at the signboards that talk about the speed limit on the road. Now, so a lot of the times, let's say you are on the road and you're cycling, or let's say you are on your road with a sibling, always make sure to follow the speed limit. So let's say if the road is basically 20 kilometers per hour, always be at 20 kilometers per hour. If it is at 30 kilometers, be at 30. If it's at 40, be at 40. Whatever the sign is, always maintain that speed. You do not want to go slower or you do not want to go faster. So make sure to always keep in mind how the traffic is going to be moving. It can also be very, very helpful. Let's say if you are trying to cross the road and there are fast moving vehicles, let's say it's a 60 and 70, then there are going to be extremely fast moving vehicles on the road. So keep a check on that and not blindly cross the road, or not blindly start walking if you need to go ahead and cross the road. Always keep a check of all of this. Now, to complete my picture, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and take black and I'm just going to go ahead and color in the road. Now, this part, like I said, is very, very optional. It's completely up to you if you want to go ahead and do it. I'm just going to go ahead and do black all over the road, leaving those white spaces empty. And I'm going to go ahead and do the traffic light in the same manner. And then I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of green and I'm going to go ahead and cover the whole rest of the sheet. Now that part of it again is completely up to you. You can go ahead and do whatever colors you like. If you feel like you want to go ahead and do blue, pink, green, go ahead and do whatever color you like. It's completely up to you. Now we've actually gone ahead and spoken about a lot of the traffic elements that we see on the road. We also have gone ahead and spoken about a lot of signs. So a couple of things that I just definitely want you to keep in mind when you're on the road. A is to always watch out for your signs. B, always be with someone if you are young. That is, if you are older and your parents have given you permission to go out on the road, then okay, be on the road. But they may have given you sort of like an indication of till where you can go, that is which place that you can go to alone. So always make sure to follow what someone is telling you. If you are lost and you're confused, always look out for the signs or the boards around you that indicate the the place you are in, and then probably you can contact your parents or you can contact your sibling, whoever it is, and give them the name of the road that you are on. Always look at the signs of the road like stop and park, because you want to go ahead and not get stuck in a situation wherein you're blocking traffic or you're going ahead and blocking cars on the road. It can cause a huge commotion which you do not want to go ahead and cause. The last thing that I want to go ahead and tell you is to always look at the stop sign or the go sign, especially if you are on a cycle or if you're a pedestrian on the road. The stop sign always indicates that you have to stop, which is red. Yellow is always going to be to slow down, and green is always going to be to go. So make sure of all of those points and keep yourself very, very safe when you're on your road or you're outside. Now I'm looking at everybody's work. You've done such a wonderful job. Excellent, excellent job, everybody. Now, like I said, the colors that you wanted to work with was completely up to you. You could go ahead and do any colors of your choice on your sheet itself. So make sure you go ahead and do that. I had a lot of fun going ahead and talking to you as part of today's class. I loved going ahead and giving you a bunch of instructions on road safety. I loved going ahead and guiding you and informing you about what traffic is, what traffic elements include, and all of that. I hope you had fun in today's class. Now, before we end, couple of pointers. Firstly, don't go ahead and miss any of your submissions, and don't go ahead and miss any of your classes. Secondly, go ahead and do your submission irrespective of how you're done. So good, bad, neat, ugly, I don't care. Go ahead and do your submission. Now, I'll go ahead and see you in the next class, which is going to be the 8 GK class, and I am so excited to see you then. Bye-bye till then.
Hi everyone, we are excited to have you here in today's fun-filled learning session at Uolo. Here is a quick look at how you can submit your work after the class. As a first step, go to live.uolo.com. You can use any browser to access this site. On this page, you will see a list of all our classes. Scroll down and you can see the Submit Your Work button. And then you will see a list of the classes that you've last attended, which could, for example, show the dance or craft or science experiment classes you've attended recently. Next, it will show you the list of children whose names are registered in this mobile number. Choose your name from this list to submit your work. For instance, if you are Satvik Kumar, choose that name. And then choose the class for which you would like to make your submission. For example, if you've attended the New Year's Masquerade Party session and you'd like to make the submission for this class, click on the Submit Your Work button below that. And then upload the photo you've taken. Choose the image from your phone and click Submit. You can scroll down and view all your past submissions and see how many of your friends or peers have liked your work. You can also see others' work and like their work to inspire your friends. If you want to showcase your work on social media, that too is very simple. Click on Share, copy the link and post it on Instagram or Facebook or any other platform of your choice. Just a tiny reminder, your submission looks a lot better if you could click a photo in the landscape mode rather than the portrait mode. Do not forget to tag us at Uolo_app. I'm eagerly looking forward to all your submissions